Civil War, new movie that opened this weekend. I really haven't checked how it has done financially or how it's doing, but my wife and I did go see it on Friday night. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today on Coffee with Alain. Appreciate everybody joining me. I got the DMZ mug here today. Sort of seemed fitting. DMZ being between North and South Korea and the war there. Thought it was a fitting mug to talk about the movie Civil War. Want to say hello to everybody that listens on the podcast or watches the replays. Appreciate those that come on live and comment. Appreciate those that comment on the replay. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. I do want to remind you, sign up for the newsletter. It'll go out later this evening, looking at having an article on training and some other different things to make your life better, help you enjoy life, stay safe, and be exceptional. Sign up at enjoylifesafely.com. And you can be able to get that email, newsletter, as well as some other resources to help you stay safe. Let's talk about the movie Civil War. Went to that on Friday night, and it was an interesting film. I did like it. I'm glad we went to it because we found it interesting. I really didn't know what it was going to be about when we went there. Civil War. I didn't know what kind of take or what kind of movie it was going to be. But we did find it interesting. And I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm going to be careful about what I say. But the movie is about a small group of press, reporters and photographers. The main star is a wartime photographer, trying to capture pictures. And while most of her life she was in other countries trying to capture pictures of war, now she's here on American soil doing the same thing, trying to capture photographs, being unjudgmental and just trying to capture photographs of the war going on. And there's a younger photographer that she's sort of showing the ropes to, and a couple that are in the reporters. So it's a small group of press individuals, and they wear press on their hats and thing, and they're getting right there in the thick of some of the battles and the stuff going on to capture photographs. So that's the movie is about that core group of people. And they're going from one place in America to Washington, D.C., where more battles are going on closer to that area of the country. And so found it interesting. The movie never really takes a stance on who's right or who's wrong or why they're fighting. So you don't really get much of that. The movie really focuses on the reporters and photographers trying to do their job amidst the chaos of war. It gets very graphic at times with the violence and the scenes of war. And it's interesting because while they don't show why the main forces are battling and why they're trying to succeed from America, they never get into some of those reasons in detail or anything. It's interesting that some of the people they come across during their travels are using the war to do their own kind of thing and as an excuse to commit violence and atrocities that aren't necessarily related to the big battle that's going on. They're just using it as an excuse to do some terrible things, which the reporters are just capturing the photographs and the things that are going on without, doing much else. They don't intervene and change anything. They're just capturing what's going on. But I found it interesting to see that some people are battling for whatever their causes are, and other people are committing violence just to commit violence, really, or for their own reasons. The movie obviously doesn't glorify war. I mean, it actually, when you think about it and you stop and look at it's terrible of what's going on. And to think that there are people, now I'll get off on a sidetrack away from the movie, But to think that there are people in this country right now that are sort of calling for a civil war. You've probably seen it on social media. You see people, saying we need a social war or this or that, or a civil war because of this or that, whether, it's political parties and because they hate the other party so much, they think we need a civil war. We don't need a civil war. If anything, this movie shows how terrible that would be. We don't want to be dividing lines through our cities, through our country, and killing each other. We don't need that. No one needs that. And there has to be better ways to resolve problems than a civil war and having Americans start killing other Americans. That would be terrible. And if nothing else, this movie sort of highlights there's nothing good about war. And it's pretty sad. Americans killing Americans, and pretty destructive. We have it pretty good in this country when you think about it. Yeah, prices are up and this or that, but we wouldn't want to go into a war situation and be living that way. So that's one thing you can take away from the movie. My wife even said, it's scary to think that there are people that want that for our country. It's scary that if something like that were to happen. And she's right. We don't need that. And this movie does highlight that war is not good. Death and carnage and destruction are not good. Going to say good morning to Jay and Vicky. Appreciate you guys being here and saying hello. Jay says, good. I was worried that it would glorify the war. No, it doesn't glorify having a civil war. This isn't Red Dawn from the 80s where, the Russians are attacking America and we're going to uprise and defeat the Russian bad guys from, attacking our country. This is Americans going against Americans, and doesn't really say who's right or wrong or why. It just shows that war is pretty terrible. And through the lens of these photographers that are out there just trying to document what is going on for the sake of news and press and documentation is why they're there, not giving any sides. They're just going in and capturing what's going on. So I found it an interesting movie. Not a movie I'd watch over and over. No need to watch it over and over like, some movies that you really like. But I'm glad we went. It was interesting. And like Jay, I'm glad it didn't glorify a civil war, because we don't need that. So that's a little bit about that movie. I'm going to sign off and go up the mountain with Rocky, get a little exercise in, then come back and finish up that newsletter. It's already partly done, but I have a couple little things to finish up before it goes out this evening. Sign up at enjoylifesafely.com and you'll get that. Go out, make it a super Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.